And this got me thinking about my parents. I have a belief that my parents were secretly performers. I have evidence to prove that I come from a family of performers, even though I am the only one in my family to get on stage and perform. I'd like you to meet my mom and dad, Rose and Herman. This is my parents in the 70s, and this is how I remember them. My dad wore crazy suits, and my mom had great legs.
Okay.
Here's a picture of my father and I. Looks like a ventriloquist act. This is my dad in early life, a curious little boy about the same age I was in that previous picture. Here he is singing at his bar mitzvah. And it's not that I think he wasn't a good singer, but if you look at the faces, this is his father, this is his mother. They do not appear very happy. There's some definite judgment on this face here. And there's my dad singing his heart out. Look at the attitude of my dad. Nobody else in the family is a show person, but my dad. Look at that tie. Come on.
Okay.
This is a portrait of my father that I took. My dad spent his whole life as an optometrist. This is my mother's father. And here he is with his photo club taking pictures. This is my mother and her mother. My mother's the little girl. And what's really cool is my grandmother used to hand color the photos using Marshall oils.
My dad used to do that.
These photos were all taken by my grandfather. All my black and
No
whites
kidding.
were done on the same enlarger my grandfather used to print these pictures. My mother was my grandfather's favorite subject.
That's a great photo.
Thank you. That's my
That
mom.
actually should be on a. That should be on a metal tray.
Beautiful picture. Here she looks like a Russian immigrant, which actually we are.
Mm-hmm.
Here she is as a teenager. Here's my mom as she got older, and still photos taken by my grandfather. Anyway, here's an old picture of my mom. And if you'll notice this shirt, this was a style of shirt that she enjoyed wearing. There she is, the same thing with a smile. It's like, hey, Rose, give us a smile. She loved having her picture taken, as is evidenced by this picture that I took of her, where she's wearing a similar shirt. And look at her. She just naturally lights up for the camera. We had all kinds of parrots and birds and lizards and turtles and dogs and cats and burros and mules and horses and cows and sheep and chicken. I grew up with so many animals. Here's a later picture that I took of my mother. She actually came out to California and I shot her here in my studio. And you can see that her style in shirts is still very similar. My mom joined something called the Mounted Posse in Kingman, Arizona. They were the search and rescue team that would search the desert whenever somebody got lost or when they needed to go out to find something in the desert. Here she's showing her prized donkey named Bow Valley Blue that she was very proud of. Now let's get to the show business part. This is my father and my little brother. My father was a professional clown when I was a kid. He came to our school and showed us how to apply makeup. By the way, that's my mom. So there's my dad as a show person, clearly with the desire to perform. Right? Now, this is my mother. Every time there was a parade in Kingman, Arizona, my mother participated as an entry. This was a very clever thing she and my dad built, where the cart was put before the horse. In this case, it's a burro. She did this to promote my father's optical business in Kingman, Arizona. I have a bunch of these pictures. Here she's riding a little cow. Look at her. That's my mom. Here she is at Christmas time. She's got the little cow and the burro hooked up to a cart. Who does that? This was actually in the Rose Bowl. My mom was in the Rose Bowl parade. That's Bow Valley Blue. Here's another Christmas where she's with Bow Valley Blue in a parade. What you would have to be a performer to want to do this, right? She is clearly a performer. Here's another angle of that one with Western Optical on it. You can see the bells on the hooves. It made a nice jingle jangle as she rode by. Hey, Mommy, what's up there? I can't read what her sign says. She looks tiny up there.
Yeah, she does look tiny. Looks like Bow Valley Blue's gotten bigger.
This is the final portrait I ever took of her, but you can still see that sparkle in her eye. She loved having her picture taken. So, there it is. My proof that my parents were secretly show people and that I come from a family of performers.